Ethan pays $1,800 a month to rent his apartment. Owen pays roughly $2,600 a month to own his house. They both think they made the smart move. They're both partly right, and they're both ignoring the one thing that actually decides who ends up richer, not in 5 years, but in 20. Every rent versus buy argument you've ever watched has the same flaw. The homeowner says renting is throwing cash into a hole. The renter says buying is a trap dressed up as an investment. Neither one is lying. They're just picking the numbers that make them look smart. So let's run every number honestly, the ones people put in the thumbnail and the ones they bury in a footnote. By the end, you'll know which path actually builds more wealth, and why the real answer depends on your situation more than either side wants to admit. My name is Nathan, and I spend way too much time thinking about the best use of my money. Ethan and Owen are both 30. Same city, same job, same $65,000 salary, same $40,000 saved up. The only thing that's different is what they did with that money. Ethan takes his $40,000 and drops it straight into an index fund. No mortgage, no repair calls, no property taxes. He sets up a $500 monthly contribution and forgets about it. His buddies ask why he isn't buying. He shrugs and says he's investing instead. Owen uses his $40,000 as a down payment on a $320,000 house. That's about 12.5% down, just enough to qualify. His loan is a 30-year fixed at 7%, which puts his principal and interest near $1,900 a month. Add taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance for that small down payment, and his real housing cost lands around $2,600 a month. He tells his parents he's building equity. He feels like a grown-up. On paper, day one, Owen looks like the winner. He's got a yard, nobody can raise his rent. Ethan pays $1,800, and according to the old argument, has nothing to show for it. Here's what that argument skips. Owen's housing cost is $800 more than Ethan's every single month. Ethan takes that gap and invests it on top of his regular contribution, about $1,300 a month total going into the market. Owen has $0 going anywhere but the house. By the end of year one, Ethan's portfolio sits around $17,500. Owen's investment account is empty. He's made roughly $23,000 in mortgage payments, and almost all of it, over $21,000, went to interest and insurance. Barely $1,400 actually chipped away at what he owes. Nobody tells you that in the first few years of a mortgage, you're mostly just feeding the bank. And that's before you count the stuff that never shows up in the payment. Closing costs alone can run 2 to 5% of the purchase price, which is $6,000 to $16,000 gone before Owen even moved in. Mortgage insurance adds another $150 to $200 a month until his balance drops low enough, which could take the better part of a decade. Maintenance runs 1 to 2% of the home's value a year, so budget $3,000 to $6,000 annually. Some years a leaky faucet, some years a dead air conditioner in July. None of it is optional. It's just unscheduled. Fast forward 5 years, Ethan has put in his original $40,000 plus roughly $78,000 in contributions, and at a typical 10% average return, his portfolio is worth somewhere between $185,000 and $240,000. He's paid $18,000 in rent along the way and owns no property, but he's sitting on real, liquid money. Owen has paid about $156,000 in housing costs over those 5 years. His loan balance dropped by only $16,000. His home, though, appreciated to roughly $380,000, which puts his equity around $116,000. But look closer. $60,000 of that came from the market lifting his house's value, something he didn't control. Only $16,000 came from him actually paying down debt. He's also sunk about $18,000 into repairs and insurance that built him nothing. So at year 5, Owen's ahead on paper with equity, but Ethan has more real wealth sitting in the bank. Owen does have one card Ethan doesn't hold, though: leverage. He used $40,000 to control a $320,000 asset, like using a small push to move something 8 times its size. That's what amplified his gain when the house rose in value. But a lever swings both ways. If prices had dropped instead of climbed, that same leverage would have wiped him out faster too. Push forward to year 10. Rent has crept up the way it always does, and Ethan is now paying around $2,400 a month. His gap over Owen has shrunk from $800 to about $200, so he's investing less extra than before. Still, with everything compounding, his portfolio is somewhere around $310,000 to $330,000. Owen's house is now worth about $453,000. His remaining loan is around $248,000, which puts his equity near $25,000 once you subtract what he's spent on upkeep. Ethan is still way out in front on total wealth, but Owen's payment has never moved. While his neighbors watch their rent jump, his cost stayed locked in place, and that kind of stability doesn't show up on a spreadsheet, but it's worth something real. By year 20, Ethan's rent has climbed to around $3,200 a month, eating into how much extra he can invest. Still, with 2 decades of compounding, his portfolio lands somewhere between $480,000 and $530,000. He's paid close to $500,000 in rent total and owns no property, but he's got roughly $500,000 sitting in the market. Owen's house is worth about $640,000 now, with maybe $220,000 left on the loan, putting his equity near $418,000. His mortgage still has about 10 years left, but he's got options Ethan never had: refinancing, tapping equity, or selling outright. So who won? Ethan has more liquid wealth. Owen has a paid-down asset with real appreciation and payments that never budged. Neither one of them made the wrong call. They just made different bets on how rent, home prices, and the market would move. Here's what the math actually teaches us. Renting only wins if you genuinely invest the gap every month without fail. If Ethan had just spent that extra $800 instead of investing it, he'd have nothing to show at all. Buying wins the longer you stay put, since the fixed cost advantage keeps compounding while everything else gets more expensive. And in a market where a house costs way more than the rent would ever justify, buying can bury you in debt for years before it pays off. The real answer nobody puts in a headline is this: it was never about renting versus buying. It's about whichever one fits your market, and then actually investing what's left over, aggressively and on purpose. The renter who invests the difference builds wealth. The homeowner who pays down debt and keeps contributing to retirement builds wealth. The person who just picks a side and calls it a strategy builds nothing. So don't ask whether you should rent or buy. Ask if you're accounting for everything: the closing costs, the insurance, the repairs, the rent hikes, and the discipline it actually takes to invest what's left. That's the only version of this question worth answering. If this helped you see the real picture, hit like and subscribe to show support for the channel. It really helps, and it means a lot.